Welcome back to the Internet Safe Space, episode 61.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I was
that
6 off. The most important one.
true. We
Sorry.
might have
Do
to
your
have you
intro.
back again
Ooh,
just for that episode.
that's a thought.
Yeah, maybe we could find a way to do the Wii U online, the
I'm
CTGP.
down, bro.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
Anyways, so the man that needs no introduction. The last that you saw him was almost a year ago. It was sometime in January of 25 that we filmed our Witcher series, a tier list, which, if you saw by the title, you know we're doing it again. Um, but that was the last time that he was on here. Culkino. He is a streamer. Shout out. Go ahead. Shout out your streaming.
Yeah, Culkino. I do YouTube. I do Twitch, here and there. So if you like what you see, come check me out. I do the tier lists. Sorry, I'm already doing the Jersey thing. I was gonna hold off. I do the tier lists. You call me Mr. Tier List on Internet Safe Space, but on my channel, I do a little Beerio, a little gaming here and there. So yeah, check me out.
All right. So you saw the title of the video. You know what we're doing today. Let me change scenes here so you guys can take a look. Sopranos tier list. It's blank right now, but we've got a whole slew of characters here, and we may not do every single one because when I was briefly looking at all the squares, I noticed there are some characters that I like. They're so much a side character that I don't even remember who they are. But also, me and Luca are both going to be playing off each other's strengths because I finished the show like 2 years ago, give or take, and I don't know how long it's been since you watched it. How
So
long?
it's been a year, but I did rewatch it a few months ago. So I might have a bit more of a fresher knowledge here, but I'm by no means an expert. Uh, but I'll try my best here. I'm a big fan of the show. I love the show. I'll say that much.
This week I've been rewatching, like, I'm started manipulating my Instagram feed so that all I was getting was
But
Sopranos content so I could start
yeah.
just brushing up on some of the main knowledge. Also, for those of you, I'm just gonna call it out now. If you happen to notice, yeah, my eyes fucked up. No need for further detail. All right, it's already been 3 minutes. I think it's time that we get started. So we're just gonna pick someone at random here, and who's it gonna be? Hmm. All right, let's start with Janice. I think that's a good, like, not complete top, but also not complete bottom. Like, that's a good person to start with, I think. So why don't you say anything you want about
Yeah,
Janice,
I might.
Luca?
I mean, maybe I might contradict that because for me, I actually really don't like Janice. I will say on my second watch through, I noticed a bit more, a little more of some redeeming qualities to her. But to me, um, she's very selfish. Doesn't really care about anything. The biggest thing for me about why I would dock her the most is really the whole relationship with Bobby. I mean, she basically manipulated his kids. I don't know if you remember when she's messaging them from her house, pretending there's ghosts there. She literally like manipulated Bobby's kids into seeing her as a mother. And then when she finally got that position, she was a horrible mother. You see the scene, and if you knew Janice from earlier episodes, like that adds up. The scene where she beats up the woman on the soccer field, um, you know, she's always causing issues for Tony. And I just want to say this from the standpoint, like I think we should have covered this a little bit because for me, I'm still kind of in two minds about how I'm gonna rank characters. But something for me that's kind of important here would be the fact that like I kind of the kind of how we did the Witcher tier list, right? And how you kind of relate everything on how the character interacts with Geralt, who's the most important character. In my mind, I have to kind of put some weight on how do they affect Tony, who's kind of like the most important character right in the show. So from that standpoint, she causes nothing but problems for Tony. She's very selfish. She's kind of like a copy of Olivia, Tony's mother, who I'd have even lower, to be honest with you. But I want to hear your thoughts here. I wouldn't put her. The one thing that kind of might keep her closer to the middle to me is the scene where she kills Richie. I think that is a pretty iconic scene, and Richie also super unlikable guy. Minus one scene also, the jacket. But sorry, I don't know if I'm gonna ramble like this for every character. You gotta kind of tell me to shut the fuck up when I need to, but do your thing.
No, I mean, I, I, I we might have to do Richie next because
Okay.
I want to talk about him and there's a because now that you made me think about other iconic scenes, there's a really good one with Christopher too. There's many good ones with Christopher to be honest, but we'll save Christopher for a little bit later. But yeah, we'll try not to ramble too much. Otherwise, it's gonna. Witcher was like I think Witcher was 3 hours we filmed. I don't think this will be that long because there's less characters to go through. But
If you don't cut me off, maybe, man. I don't know, but yeah, my Witcher knowledge probably a bit deeper bag, but sorry.
what I'll say about Janice is and about my rating, right? So I think that it's kind of like two things, right? So I'm rating based off how they interact with Tony, yes, but also it's what they add to the show as well because
Okay.
in I would say 90% of the characters like manage to piss off Tony more than once.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
everybody. Like you think about Paulie towards the end of the show. Like towards the end of the show, Paulie was like Tony was almost whacked him, bro. You know what I mean? Like he was considering
Yeah.
it. So everybody in the show, except for maybe Syl, like ends up yes.
I'll counterpoint though. I will say that is true, but with regards to Paulie, at least he did kind of provide something for Tony. I struggle to find things that Janice provided for Tony, to be honest with you,
Oh,
that
nothing.
left
She
any sort
provided
of
nothing.
positive impact. So,
Yeah. The reason that I would probably say like so let's do this. I'll throw out a tier and then you say whatever you think about that. So I would probably throw Janice in C because for me, I think that it averages out between her being annoying as fuck, but she also has some pretty iconic scenes, especially like her killing Richie was one of the most like I remember watching that for the first time. I think that was like the season 2 finale of the show, and it was one of the most unexpected like I watched Sopranos for the first time and Janice shot Richie, and it was like you're just like this. Like the whole
yeah.
time you're thinking,
No, it's amazing.
like
Okay.
Tony even talks about whacking Richie, and like the whole time you're led to believe like Tony and his crew, like Syl is gonna end up doing it or whoever, and it's gonna get done, and then it's fucking Janice. Like,
So yeah, that's something that I probably need to adjust for because I'm kind of looking at it also from the standpoint for me personally, this is kind of like a personal ranking where how much I like or dislike the character. I probably need to factor in more of like how compelling of a character they are. And I will give this
that's
to
fine.
her. Yes, she's like a horrible person. She has very few redeeming qualities, but she is very, very important to the storyline at many points in the show. So just from the standpoint of what she provides, 100%. Yeah, I would give you that. Then she probably does deserve some C tier consideration. Without that, I mean she's lower, but I'm gonna make that adjustment moving forward here.
Also, do you remember? I just thought of the line when Tony's eating at their house. This is when she's with Bobby at this point, and he's like,
Oh
"I
yeah.
want, I wonder where Harpo's eating his Sunday dinner." And
What's French
she's like, "What?
Canadian for? Yeah, what's French Canadian for I grew up without a mother?
Sacre bleu, where is me, mama?
Where's your mama? she's that's when she's like when she's started controlling her feelings and
She
her
was trying
emotions,
to,
her
yeah.
temper. That was right after the scene where she beat up the woman
Yeah.
at the soccer match. And yeah,
What? I'm the
he
kid's
gets her.
uncle.
Yeah.
I'm his
In reality,
uncle.
he doesn't give a fuck about the kid.
So
He's just
funny.
trying to bring her down with him.
Yeah,
But
and he fully rage baited her with all
yeah,
the so good.
he's amazing. He's so good at that.
Okay.
We'll
Next,
talk about that when we get to him.
yeah, let's
I wouldn't
throw
say
in
that's necessarily a good thing, but
one way up was eating his Sunday dinner. All right. Let me switch the scenes here.
do
All
you want
right.
me to like add them on my screen too at the same time?
Yeah, if that helps. If that'll
I'll
help
do
you
that,
keep
yeah.
track
Because
of what's going on.
if you're trying to point out a character on the screen, I won't know where exactly they are.
Yeah.
Uh, where the fuck even is she?
Next, I'm thinking we'll do let's do AJ.
Okay,
I think AJ is a good start. Um,
you go first.
I would say,
I'm not a trash on him too. I'm not gonna lie. It's
yeah,
not not a good start.
I don't like AJ. I
Yeah,
mean, throughout the show, see there's a big difference for me between AJ and Janet. Like AJ has some funny lines, like when he's like, "What? No fucking ZD now?" Like
yeah.
that's iconic for the show.
That's early AJ though.
Yeah, he
I
gets
think there's a
worse.
big difference.
He
Yeah.
gets
Then
way worse. Early
the
AJ was
last
like
season AJ unbearable.
unbearable. He was very what's the word? Oh man. There's like an exact word that perfectly describes what he was like. Oh, insufferable.
Insufferable. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was all the woe me and like I know obviously he went through stuff that was legitimate. However, in terms of from a show standpoint, yeah, I I disliked having AJ on the screen 10 times more than Janet cuz at least Janet not Janet, Janice,
Yeah.
she
She's
kept me
compelling.
entertained. Like
Yeah.
from a TV show perspective, she was a fucking nutcase. Even though she annoyed the shit out of me, watching her like crash out and stuff was fun.
Yeah.
AJ's crash outs were sad. It was not fun to watch. Like, it was like this is
Yeah.
pathetic.
And I think a lot of that, was intended to be that way. You weren't it wasn't something that was supposed to be comfortable to watch. It's supposed to kind of show I think part of that was like, and I realized this in my watch through, it's more of a reflection of how we're supposed to see Tony as a father and how he's kind of a shit father at the end of the day. And at first, like, you kind of sympathize with Tony, and then you kind of realize like a lot of the stuff that's going on is like direct result of the way he was raised, right? Um, so from that standpoint, I sympathize with him a little bit. I think the scene that I don't know if you can even say this on YouTube, but where he tries to unalive himself, one of the hardest scenes to watch. Very, I'll say probably top five saddest scene. But also like pretty amazing acting. Um, but yeah, I still even with that, with all of that said, like he's I'm going back to my like how does he weigh on Tony? He very negatively impacts Tony. Um, yeah, you can see it with this when he's meeting with the psychologist. A lot of his his worries and his problems stem from the fact that his son is a disappointment at the end of the day, right? Like he's ashamed of his son. Um, so I would probably put him under Janice too from that standpoint. But I will say I think he does what he's intended to do in the show, right? Which is to
True.
make
As a
us kind of
character, yeah.
uncomfortable. Yeah, yeah. So I think D tier is
That's
probably
what I
where
think
I'd have.
too. I think
Yeah,
he's a the D tier leader,
yeah.
probably.
Okay.
All right. So we did two characters that were kind of like shitty. So let's do someone fun and actually like good. Syl. What do you have to
Yes.
say about Syl? Because I think Syl is a fucking legend.
Yeah, Syl for me is my second favorite character in the whole show. So you're gonna have to talk me out of keeping him out of S unless we're doing like a separate tier, separate from S. I just, to me, he doesn't have very many negative qualities apart from the fact that he just like could not handle being the boss when it was his turn to be the boss. He's just like the perfect soldier. He's the perfect consigliere. Anytime you need to rely on somebody, for Tony, obviously Christopher, because he's blood related, he would give him kind of the hardest stuff, right? But I would say still very reliable. Um, Yeah, and just also his this is gonna sound stupid, but the thing I just kind of love about his character is his expression on his face that he does, and he manages to keep it and like the hunched over, just the way he looks all the time is just hilarious, bro. He just has a yeah, I mean, a lot of iconic lines. I early on, just when they thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah, when he's
That's
standing in front of the
amazing.
mirror after they
Yeah,
get the suits and he's going like this.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Syl was my uh probably my favorite from the crew, I would say, like when I was watching for many reasons. And he fits a lot of our criteria. I actually also think he's S tier. So
okay,
we actually
okay,
agree because of like all the captains or the capos rather, he was my favorite.
yeah, yeah.
Um and for a couple reasons. One, he was likable. Two, he was funny and entertaining. And three, he was one of the people in the mob that actually for the most part, didn't raise Tony's blood pressure. He was a
No,
he was his
yeah,
consigliere. He was the guy that was if you needed something done, like you said, Sil would take care of it. Down
yeah.
to the very end, he was right there, and you know it
Mm.
because there was a reason he became acting boss when Tony was incapacitated. It's because he was the fucking number two,
He's trustworthy.
and he's trustworthy. Yeah, not a good boss. He
No,
can't handle it,
couldn't handle it.
and he didn't like it, and that's fine
Yeah.
because it makes him a
Then
better
Haler all the time.
consigliere.
Every time is like the most simple. They ask him for a ruling. Like I remember
Yeah,
Vito and Bobby are fighting about, how many points they get, and he couldn't handle just the most simple allocation of money that he has to distribute every time. Then Haler, he couldn't do it. Yeah. So he was just the perfect consigliere. That's the best way to describe him.
he was a legend. I also like when they were playing cards, and Tony's like, "Go get the cheese underneath Sil's feet there," and he's like,
Oh yeah,
"Okay,"
yeah,
and he starts to sweep, and Sil's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah. Because he's losing at that point already
Yeah,
too.
he's losing, and he
Yeah,
gets pissed, and he's like, "I'll keep as much fucking cheese at my feet as I want."
yeah. Yeah, that's a good scene. It's a good scene.
I'm putting him in S.
Put him in S. We're gonna put people ahead of him. I
He's our
like,
first S tier.
yeah. I think he's gonna end up being towards the end of S, but I think
Yeah,
he deserves the S.
yeah. We might even end up like if we think the S is getting too polluted, we can always make an S minus and an S plus, and then spread it out better. But we'll move on to our next person. Let's do what did you say her name was? I always blank on it.
Oh, Irina.
Irina.
Yeah,
Yes. We'll do Irina.
his first Gumar.
Yes,
That
his first
stays.
Gumad.
She stays on a part of the show. Um, she has the relationship with what's his face.
He's like a guy in power that Tony
Zalman or something.
knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he beats him up
Yeah.
for
He
going
like
after
takes
his
his
Gumar.
belt off and he's like beating him with the
Yeah,
belt.
Tony pretends like he doesn't care, and then he comes and when he's drunk, he just beats the shit out of him. She's like, Tonya, no, Tonya, no. And okay, I will say, it's kind of hard to rank the Gumars. For me, though, I would say she's probably my second favorite Gumar. I actually think she's a good character. She contributes to one of the most iconic scenes in the whole show when Carm and her have her fight, right? When she gets jealous of Tony sleeping with her cousin and she gets drunk and she calls because she loves Tony and she calls and you know what I'm talking about when Carmen's like the Russian called. Quite the time you've been having under my watch, and they have the huge fight like that. She caused that. So a lot of like the most amazing scenes in the show are directly correlated with her. Even like when she calls Gloria, who's my favorite, we'll get to her, but Gloria Trillo when she's on the boat, and that's the first time we see that Gloria is like a complete nutcase also when she gets jealous of her calling the boat. I don't know if you remember that scene. She's on the boat with Tony and she calls and she pretends to be like a school teacher and Gloria's like, "Oh, you're telling me she wasn't AJ's teacher? She sounded so convincing." You know, like she caused a lot of amazing scenes. So I'll say, and you do kind of sympathize with her a little bit because Tony does kind of string her along a little bit. She's purely there for convenience, but she loves Tony, and she never truly gets over him, even when he tells her to leave him alone. Um, you know, Me and from a personal standpoint, she comes from the same part of at least the character comes from the same part of the world that a lot of my family is from. So that's a little bit of a personal bias to like her more.
Give the
Um,
viewers context if they don't. They might not know or remember.
Yeah, she's a Russian background, so I have some people in my family that she reminds me of very well. And she kind of does embody like, young woman struggling to find her place, in the world. At least as an immigrant in the U.S. Like the writers do a good job with her character. Um, so okay, all that being said, she's not that important, right? Where I can't put her S or A tier, but I honestly think like end of B, I would put her ahead of Janice because like I don't dislike her in any way, right? So like bare minimum, she should be ahead of Janice. That's also a lot. I just spent 2 minutes talking about fucking Irina, so we need
Well,
to like probably
that is
speed it
totally
up.
fine to do because given the shared Russian heritage, you should say something in Russian to the viewers and see if any of our viewers can decipher.
Like a line that she has. I remember she says like "Ну как ты мне надоел" when Tony's like in the bed with her and he has to pick up a call or something. Um,
Don't spoil the translation. You can tell me after, but for the viewers, I want to see if we have any Russian viewers because I don't really know. Like, I get viewers from like most of my viewers are non-followers, so I have no idea what parts of the world they're from, to be honest. So maybe we'll tap into the Russian Soprano lovers. Who knows?
well, okay,
Um,
if they if they only speak Russian, I doubt they're still watching at this
true,
point.
true.
But
They watched your one segment and then clicked off.
yeah, they got their share.
Okay. Um, I'm down. I think good starting spot for her is because, like, personally, I wouldn't put her in B, but I would put her ahead of Janice. Like, I would put her leading C. That's where I would do it.
I like that.
Okay, so we can put her there to start. And obviously, as the list starts to fill, we can start to move people around as we see fit. Um, but
Oh
let's
damn,
see,
she's
who's our
early on
next
here. She's
person we're
early.
gonna?
They have the Jews that have one episode on here from the first season. There's a lot of
Yeah,
people on here that have like one scene.
that's what I'm saying. Like that, those people we will just breeze past or not put in at
I,
all.
I think I want to try to get through. We can quick. I'll try my best to
Okay, because I
speed it
really
through.
like
I do want to try to see if we
don't
can
know.
remember all of them. Some of them I
Um,
might not know names, but the viewers can see the list. Yes,
oh yeah,
they can see.
I like
Okay.
will periodically switch between. So, like for example, I'm showing them
Okay.
right now just how many people there are.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You
There's a
gotta
lot of
buckle in
squares.
here.
Like this towards the
Buckle in.
bottom here, I really start to get lost at certain points down here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay.
let's go back up. Let's do let's do Richie because I'm just itching to do Richie because he's so peak.
Go.
Richie is such a piece of shit,
Okay. Yeah.
and he is he sucks so much, and yet he is so entertaining to watch. So pretty much, there's a recurring theme. Everybody that gets out of jail is a problem.
Yeah.
Phil Leotardo is a problem. Feach is a problem. Tony B is a problem. And Richie is a problem. And he's the start. He's the first one to get out.
You said
And
Blundetto too.
yeah, Tony
Tony
B.
P. Yeah.
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 Um, so
Yeah.
obviously, first thing I'm gonna reference, one of my favorite things that Richie ever says is the jacket. Well, what are you talking about? It's the jacket. You don't know? I picked it up off of Rocco DeMeo. That's the
And
guy.
then the cleaner's husband is
The
wearing
cleaner's
it.
husband gets the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many scenes. He says the exact same line. He's like, "You see, I gave Tony the jacket I picked up off of Rocco DeMeo. He was a real tough guy." And
Tony doesn't give a fuck.
I remember reading into that scene because when I first watched it, I didn't understand like why the jacket was mentioned so much. And then so I remember like reading like a Wikipedia page, and it was saying how, you know, Richie comes from a time where he took down like a major mobster and picked up like this is like a relic. Like to him, he thought that he was scoring brownie points with Tony by offering him something so rare and like respectable as in this jacket, which is also outdated fashion and it's not even black leather. And so when he sees that Tony never wears it and then gives it to a nobody that's not even affiliated in the slightest, it like completely crushes him and is he fully thought it was like this. That's the funniest part. He's not even fucking with him. Like Richie
Yeah.
thought that was I
I
don't
don't
think he
know.
was fucking with him.
I think probably, but I'll say one thing with him, um, that you can kind of have to point out is he tries to kind of gain power from the inside. Like the relationship with Janice, that's him trying to like get one over Tony, right? That's him trying to weasel his way in to having power, right? I don't think he had any sort of general like any sort of actual feelings toward it. Like one of the most iconic quotes that I remember at least is Tony finds him in Janice's house when he goes to see Janice, and he's like there he's like there guys in the can better looking than my sister, and he's like but we have history, Tony. He's like history like Israel and Palestine. Like that, so that just shows like there's probably nothing there. It's genuinely just him trying to like gain power or try to like feel like he has some sort of power over Tony. So I think maybe with the jacket from that regard, part of that might have been like he's trying to show that he's more powerful or like respected or something because he has this jacket, right? Maybe I'm bullshitting, but I just
No, no,
think
I
that,
think it
that
was it
you
was
kind of have to mention
definitely
that with this character.
Richie truly believed that was like
He was so offended. He
yeah,
was like
he
beyond.
didn't give him the jacket because he thought it would like make him look goofy. He
Yeah, he was
was
so
trying to
angry.
kiss ass. He just kissed
Yeah,
ass wrong. Like he did it
yeah,
improperly. But he was
yeah,
definitely like, "Oh, I'll give Tony this jacket, and then he'll think that we have a like it's like a peace offering." And then Richie's thinking, "Then I can get the jump on him." But in
yeah.
reality, Tony cared so little, it just did nothing, and he just lost the jacket.
And the other capos hated him too, which I think that deserves
Yeah,
mentioning, right?
no
Like,
one
I don't
liked
think he
Richie.
got along with anyone. He was only stepping
Sil
on
was gonna
people's
whack
toes.
him. That's what was gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, is that the scene where he's like, I genuinely don't know what we gain from
From
keeping him
keeping him
around.
around, yeah. And
Yeah,
then Tony
that's
like looks
talking
at
about
him and
Richard.
he's like, "Get it
Yeah,
done."
yeah.
So Sil was gonna do it, and then
And he's like,
but so I'll tell you where I think so Richie was interesting for me. It was after my second watch. Like when I first watched the show, I would have put Richie in like D tier because I disliked him so much. But now I think he's such a good character that I personally would put him in A tier
mhm.
because I fucking loved whenever he was on screen because I liked all the scenes. I liked the lines. I liked the tension. I liked when Tony would fucking scream at him, like when they meet up in the mall, and Tony's like, "Cause I'm the fucking guy that calls the shots."
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"No, enough of this old school shit. Doesn't matter that he
Yeah.
went to the can. Like he didn't give a fuck."
Doesn't give a
And
fuck.
all of the stuff with Richie, it's like one of my favorite seasons of the whole show. So that's why I would put Richie A tier
So
because I just fucking love his character.
I'll agree with that, but I think where we put someone who I want to go to next um, would affect how I view him, right? Because everything we mentioned about Richie, you got to kind of like multiply by 10 when we're talking about Ralph Cifaretto, because he is even more of like an entertaining watch, causes so many more issues for Tony, but at the same time, he's also the biggest possible piece of shit, like evil human being, way worse than Richie, right? And he's kind of like a similar role in the show where he kind of appears, for a season. Tony wants to kill him. Well, in this case, he does. But, with Richie, probably Tony would have eventually done it if Janice hadn't done it, right? So I think where we rate Richie, for me, a lot of that will have to do with how we look at Ralph. So I want to know your perspective on Ralph. Just now?
Yeah, we're good. We're back. Sorry, guys,
Okay.
if you just saw a quick cut. Um, anyways, we were talking about Richie, and then we brought up Ralph. I think Ralph is higher than Richie
Okay, good. That's
for
that's where
sure
I'm at. That's where I'm at.
because
But see,
Richie
I
is.
I struggle to put Ralph in S tier.
This is my thing. I think that Ralph is an S tier antagonist.
He is. He's so
He's an S
entertaining,
tier
right?
villain. He's like a guy that you
Okay.
love to hate and hate to love.
Yeah.
It's like Negan from The Walking Dead. Main
So then,
villain,
yeah.
everyone dislikes, but you also love watching him for some reason. You're like, I fucking like when this guy's on screen, even though he's a piece of shit. And Ralph was bad.
I'll say his biggest redeeming quality about him that separates him from all the other, you know, members of the family is that he actually enjoys being a mobster. If you look at like every other character, they're all depressed, like they even Tony, like he has all his own insecurities and their issues with life. Like Ralph, he enjoys the life. Like you don't see any sort of he doesn't actually give a fuck about anybody or anything. The Tracy scene, like so horrible, right? This poor girl, he treats her like such a piece of shit. I mean, he goes, "Oh, she fell," and then Tony hits him, and he's like, "But she was a whore." Like, he doesn't care about anything or anyone. His own fucking son died, and it seemed like the most like I feel like a normal human being would have a much worse reaction to their son tragically dying. I mean, we talk about Jackie, right? Like the guy, his Gumar at the time son died. He could not give more of a fuck. He was on his way to go have his affair with Janice, right? Like when he talks about the kid dying, it's not that he feels sorry for Rosalie. He's like, oh, it's incessant crying. Like he just doesn't give a fuck about anything or anyone, which like from one perspective, I think that's like very entertaining to watch. But if we're doing like the judgment of like morality of the character, like obviously you kind of have to dock him for that. So this is where I struggle for me. Like, is he S tier? Because I mentioned at the start, right? I'm sorry, I'll stop this ramble a second. But the fact that like we're like for me at least, I'm kind of factoring in how do they affect Tony, right? If we're factoring that in, then I can't put him S. For me, he's way above Richie, right? So I think whatever tier Richie's in, Ralph has to be the tier above that. But that's why I'm struggling. Like I don't know if I'd put him ahead of Sylvia.
I wouldn't put Ralph ahead of Silvio. So I think what needs to happen is I think Richie Richie and Ralph are from the same vein, like you said. The one season pop up villain, but Ralph is better. So I agree with the tier separation. So maybe for now we do Richie goes in B and then Ralph goes in A. And then that'll be like our then we can use them as guides because now then every tier will have at least one person.
I'm a fan of that. Yeah.
So I think that's a good way to do it. So now for the audience, we are going to be adding two people. So first one is Richie, who's going to go in B, and then Ralph. So I need to find Ralph.
I think anyone who likes Richie as a character would agree also that Ralph is like even more, even better. Just he embodies like almost everything about Richie, just multiplied in every facet.
Is he staring me in the face? Do you know what row he's in? Because I can't even see him.
I just grabbed him. I couldn't tell you where I got him from. I think it's kind of in like chronological order, so I'd say somewhere in the middle to end. Um, I think it's a little bit of a chronological thing going on here.
Hmm.
I can't find Richie. Is my issue here.
Richie was in like the third row. Chat. Maybe you guys can look for me, even though this isn't live. So that's an incredibly unhelpful question. Um,
You can cut it, right? You might have to cut it for some of these because it's like a
oh,
find
I
and
found
seek.
him.
Where's Waldo for this?
I found him.
Oh, you got him. Okay. I see. I can't find fucking Richie.
Okay, I got Ralph and Richie.
See
Jeez.
Rosalie. Where's Richie?
So now we have.
I see him finally. The picture of him is hilarious. Is he beating up Beansy in that? I think that's what it is. You remember
Doing what?
Beansy? I think he's beating up Beansy in this picture.
Oh yeah, that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do Patsy. That's one that's interesting. Do you remember who? Do you remember Patsy or no?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Um. Yeah. He's a. I think I kind of overlooked him on my first watch through, and then I realized there's a lot more layers to him. Um. The fact that Tony whacked his brother and he fully knew about it and had, he was basically forced to live with the fact. And I want to know your thoughts on this. I don't know if we'll cover this at any point, but I do think it deserves to be mentioned. There's a lot of different theories about how the show ends, right? Like what happens, right? And I think the general consensus is that Tony dies.
Yep.
And I'll say I've heard this floated out more than once. The fact that it was Patsy finally getting his revenge on Tony. You notice kind of some of like the animosity towards him that he kind of just like doesn't respect him and he's kind of forced to. The one scene I think of is where Tony goes in there. Um, it's the guy's birthday, the other captain, I forget his name, the one who's a rat and he dies being a rat. And Tony comes in, he basically just defends Tony Blundetto and says, "We're not going to give him up," right? Everyone in the family wants him to give up Tony Blundetto. And he does his whole speech and everything. You can tell it pisses them all off. And then Tony gives a speech and he walks out, and then it cuts to Patsy, and Patsy just goes, "That was great." You know what I'm talking? Have you seen? You know that scene? It to me that showed to me like Patsy secretly deep down never got over the fact that Tony whacked his brother. Side note, he has a one of his best scenes in the show when he gets Gloria Trillo on the ride, and he says the line of like, "It won't be cinematic. The last face you'll see won't be Tony's. It will be mine." That's a fire bar. So he,
It's
he
tweaked.
has his
It's
moments.
tweaked.
He has his moments. I'll give him that. I don't think I can put him ahead of Richie or Ralph. Um, like importance to the show, obviously Janice is more important. He's way more important than Arena. I think maybe end of B, but I wanted to hear your thoughts here. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I think I could. I think I would be fine putting him end of B too because he is. I agree with you. He's a character that can easily be overlooked when he has some pretty insane scenes. The Gloria scene is sick. Um,
Yeah.
he's one of the few that gets
Oh,
away when New York is
this one
trying to
too.
kill everybody.
You know the
And
scene where he's at the pool
yes,
and
yeah,
he's
that
about
was
to
one of the
shoot
things I was
Tony?
going to
I
bring up.
completely went over my head too.
Goes to
Go ahead.
Tony's house and is
Yeah.
like nearly kills him, tries to assassinate
Yeah.
Tony, and like ends up, pussying out and is
Seeing
like,
out.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it is interesting that he was one of the New Jersey guys that did manage to get away when they shot at him and Sill. Sill got hit a bunch of times, and Patsy ran off into the bushes and got away. Who knows where he went?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think End of B is a good starting spot.
Okay. We're in agreement.
All right,
I gotta
next up
find it.
we have Melfi,
Okay.
Tony's therapist. The I think Melfi is probably one of the most like fluctuating like or dislike type of characters because like there are people that watch The Sopranos that were like that hated the Melfi scenes. They were like, "Oh, there's too many Melfi scenes. All this it's bullshit. Like I skip past them." There's actually people like that, and that always confused the shit out of me because I always thought the Melfi scenes were some of the most interesting in the whole show because it gives you a second to like actually pour into Tony's mind and explore like how fucked up he is, and it just adds so much depth to him. So I don't know how anyone could ever skip those scenes. There's also plenty of hilarious moments, like the stupid shit that Tony says when he's sitting in that chair. Sometimes is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. I actually was gonna have that same stand. I was
Yeah.
gonna bring up the same thing you just mentioned, with regards to like liking or disliking her scenes. I think for me, what kind of got me into like interested in Sopranos was in the first place was I watched The Godfather. So my perspective of like what I was expecting going into The Sopranos was like I'm gonna see this badass like mob scenes and like gangster stuff. So I wasn't expecting, the layer of The Sopranos where you realize like a lot of it is just like relatable, right? It's a lot of like personal issues and insecurities that regular people have. So at first, when I her scenes used to, honestly, yeah, I had that viewpoint where I was this kind of it's not as enjoyable as the rest of the show. Like I want to see, people getting shot. I want to see, all like the fun gangster stuff but like it was a complete contrast to that. But rewatching it, I realized how important she is to like the relatability of Tony as a character, and a lot of what makes us like Tony, right, is because we can relate to him and a lot of the issues that he has, right? I think a lot of the things he struggles with are things that, you know, other normal people would speak to you about with a psychiatrist. So, I'll say that's one thing. Rewatching, probably one of the greatest things I took away was how important she is as a character. Um, I would say my one of my least favorite moments in the show. I think it has to be mentioned. We spoke about it before recording. With the Employee of the Month scene, that is one of the hardest, uncomfortable watches. Where she gets a lot of screen time, obviously, but I do think it has like it has its redeeming qualities. You see her struggle with the fact that she's also Italian, and she starts defending him at certain points where she feels like he's being attacked, right? Like when he gets brought up at the dinner table and they all like make jokes about him, and she feels like compelled to stand up for him. And then towards the end, you kind of see her drift away from that, when she kind of I think she realizes at a certain point that Tony's not savable, basically, and that she can't change him, and that he's just a flawed person. And I think a lot of that like is so important to the show, where I think she's minimum A, despite like everything I mentioned with her scenes not being as enjoyable, just in terms of what she provides to Tony's character, she has to be at least A.
Yeah. I'm compelled to agree with you there. I think she's a major character. She provides exponentially to Tony's character, and it was it was nice to get that contrast, like you mentioned, Melfi's personal life, and seeing how being Tony's therapist affected her. even and even more so when you see her go to her own therapist as well.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
she's the one that's in the chair. Um, and yes, her
She was
being
always
Italian.
defending him. She was always defending him. The
Yeah.
other therapist, he's trashing on Tony, telling her to dump him. She would always stand up for him.
For a long time she could just couldn't do it, which I found interesting too. How she said she was
Yeah,
like maybe part of her likes the thrill of it, like never knowing his
yeah.
unpredictable nature, all that stuff. Like, um, but I would say we should.
She was sexually attracted to him at one point. I don't know if you remember that. She struggled with that too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When she
It's.
got drunk too, she got drunk and she ran into him at the restaurant.
She said toodaloo.
She was, yeah, she was gushing over him.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think A is good. For her to be. It's just the question comes down to would she go ahead or behind, uh, Ralph?
I think just purely from the enjoyability of their scenes, she has to be behind Ralph. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I
I
agree.
understand how important she is, but Ralph is
Ralph
just
is just
like
he's
another
just
level.
unfortunately peak. He's unfortunately
He's
peak.
so peak. Yeah, he's so peak, bro.
You can't get over it. Like, okay,
He can't.
he has some flaws. He does. But he's being
He is. He is. He's a complete piece of shit, horrible human being, but so fucking entertaining. So
okay.
not that much unlike the main protagonist of the whole show, I will say.
Okay. Let's talk about let's talk about Livia.
Okay.
Um I don't even like really have much to say because I despised her character so much. I didn't like when she was on screen. She annoyed the shit out of me. She repeated all the same. She had some mannerisms, and I get that was the point. I know she was written that way on purpose, but it
Yeah.
was like she would start speaking, and I would be like, "This, bro,
Yeah.
like,
No.
come on."
Yeah.
And obviously, she was a major nuisance to Tony as well. So for me, like, I'll let you say your piece, but like, I fully would throw her an F and be fucking happy with it.
I think so. I have the same reaction where I was like, I don't know. I see her as kind of she's supposed to show how, someone has a bad relationship with their mother and what effect that could have on someone. And it was just so compelling to me that when I looked more into her character, I saw a lot of stuff having to do with David Chase, who wrote the show. A lot of that had to do with his own personal relationship with his mother. And I think a lot of that came out in the show and how he wrote the character because she's like beyond unbearable. Um, I think I understand how important she is to the plot, especially early on. But something about wanting your own son killed, that is like another level of horrible human being, somehow worse than Ralph. I mean, I don't know how you can't put her in the bottom tier. She's like the embodiment of the devil, just evil human being. Always just she knows how to just piss off Tony and just make his life harder. Just I wish the Lord would take me now. Stab me right here, right here. Yeah. So I put her down there, dude. Fucking dump her ass at the bottom.
Yes. And then or when and she is like, "What? It was a joke."
Yeah. Oh my
And it
God.
just what?
Dude, when she's getting wheeled away in the fucking hospital, when Tony finds out that she wanted to have him killed and he has the pillow and he wants to fucking suffocate
Oh
her and
yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
smiling. She's smiling.
Yeah, that was
Dude.
insane.
Well, most insane moment. That just shows how fucking evil she was, though. Yeah. I hope nobody had that level of an experience with their own mother who's
Yeah,
watching.
seriously.
That is, she could
Insane.
be the worst possible mother in TV show history. Honestly, wanting your own son killed. Can't excuse that.
Um let's talk
Dude,
about.
I've spent like in between talking about characters looking for fucking Patsy, and I finally found him. Okay. It took me so long. Where do we put him again? B,
He's
right?
in B behind
Yeah.
Richie.
Okay, okay, that's good.
So let's talk about
She's at the bottom. Okay.
let's do Carmela. That's a main one we haven't done yet.
Okay. Um, I think she's us. Hear me out here.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know that.
Whoa.
I knew that was kind of gonna be your reaction. It's hard because, like, just her character alone, um, she's not a good person, right? And you realize how like how horribly she like. Sorry, let me start over here. The reason she's S is because first off, the acting is amazing. The way she's portrayed by Edie Falco, I believe is the actress's name, is just peak. Some of the most important scenes in the show, like we mentioned earlier with Irina and the fight where Tony hits the wall next to her, like the most memorable moments in the show stem from her. She's a very shallow person. You know, she's the quintessential mob wife is basically the life that she lives, right? She loves money. She loves flaunting her wealth. She pretends to be this like overly religious person, right? When in reality, she's overlooking the fact that her husband like murders people, right? And he's like going to hell, you know. Um, but at the same time, I think she does truly, at the bottom of her heart, love Tony. She plays such a huge role. I would argue she's the better parent in the family with regards to raising. I mean, maybe not so much Meadow. She's probably more of a negative impact on Meadow, but with AJ, honestly think she's played more of a pivotal role in like his better qualities. Um, Meadow not so much, right? Because I don't think she's a role model for Meadow in any way. Um, Maybe I'm talking myself more into A tier rather than S. I want to hear your thoughts because my mind is going a lot of different places with her, honestly. Just from the standpoint of how important she is. She's literally the character with the second most screen time in the show by a wide margin. So I think that does need to be put into consideration a little bit. We kind of live her experiences to the end, right? So
I feel like she definitely deserves a higher tier because I feel like she's the anti-hero or like whatever you would call them, villain main character wife done correctly. Because, for example, a lot of people like to compare Carmela and Skylar from Breaking Bad, and Skylar sucks. Like her husband is the main character of the show, and he's a villain that you root for, same as Tony, right? Like they follow a similar script in that manner. But Skylar is fucking awful and sucks, and it's like there's like nothing like most people would say Skylar's would go in like F tier. No one likes when she's on screen or whenever she speaks. But Carmela is compelling. She has a really interesting character arc and development in the fact of like what you were saying with her, the contrast between the religious and pretending that Tony doesn't murder people. And when Tony goes up to her and he's like, a 40 grand from the bird feeder, 40 grand.
and she deflects
And she
with the
deflects.
cheating, yeah. Which she fully
Yeah.
did that. She fully stole that money.
Fully stole it. Yeah. He's like, you stole from me. Um, but anyways, I definitely don't think S. Like I don't want her next to Syl. Um, but
I
like for
understand
me,
that.
like I would put her between Ralph and Melfi. I would actually put her above Melfi for like Sopranos women. I think that she's
I think that's
is
fair.
better.
I think also I shared the kind of sentiment of like her not being as enjoyable as I did with Melfi, and then on my rewatch realizing how pivotal she is to the show
Yeah, yeah,
and how
100%.
much she like affects Tony. Um, yeah, so I think if you asked me this after my first watch, I would put her lower for sure.
No, I think it's going to be an. I actually think us putting her in A will be an unpopular move.
I don't think so honestly. I think she's regarded this highly. I just know for in terms of like for awards for their performances, Edie Falco was second only to James Gandolfini. So
That's pretty good then. That is pretty good. The next person we're gonna do is Artie, the
that's
legend.
you.
That is me. I've when I shave my mustache, I actually feel like I look like Artie. I have to grow my hair out so I'm less
Adipoco.
bald. I need to have a little bit more hair up here.
Yeah.
But Artie, it's I don't even fucking know where to put Artie off the top of my head because there were times when I kind of liked him and times when I didn't.
Yeah.
Because obviously everything with the restaurant with his wife, he becomes like kind of a weirdo. When he goes after Adriana, that was strange. That was so like just
Yeah.
uncalled for and out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um,
It
but
makes you stop
also,
feeling sorry for him.
yeah,
Because you kind of feel sorry for him with the restaurant stuff. Then that happens, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? This fucking guy. Like
it's like take it
I
easy.
don't yeah. I'm not defending you
Um,
anymore.
but it is interesting. One thing about Artie is that he's one of the few friends that Tony has that's not affiliated.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is even noted. There's a scene when Carmela is trying to tell Tony that all of his friends, like all the capos and stuff in the mob, they're scared of him, so they suck up to him. And the first thing that Tony says is not Artie, which goes to show that even Tony knows that Artie is one of his only real friends that's like friends with him just because, not because he's trying to get something.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
And
Um,
we get the perspective on why he's not living the same life as Tony. I don't know if you remember when he goes to make the deal with the French, like the vodka guy, and he basically gets completely ripped off. And Tony's like, "You're on your own, deal with it." And he goes to, try to rough him up and gets his ass beat by this other fucking pussy French guy, right? So you realize like Artie's kind of a bitch. Like he there's a reason why he's not living that life. Which definitely I think it hurts his character more than it helps it. But even when that happened, and I think I remember like I think he tried to kill himself. He took a bunch of prescription medicine or something. Tony was there. Tony cared about him. Tony tried to help him get through it. Like Tony did feel sorry for him, which he rarely does with other characters. When they go through something traumatic like that, Tony's one to very rarely show any sort of, emotion or like understanding to someone's, something horrible that's happened to someone. But with Artie, I think he does kind of care about him, which I think it matters, right? So I think he's probably C tier.
yeah, I mean he's a very average character as far as the Sopranos go. Um, I don't
I
know.
thought you'd try to defend him more. Did your doppelganger?
Nah, yo, I don't think he should be up there with Richie and Patsy. Like he's worse for sure.
I remember, dude, this is a random side point, but I remember for some reason I just have a memory of Rogo calling you Artie Bucco, and that was before I even watched the show. And then I didn't understand it. And then I watched the show, I was like, oh, he does kind of look like Artie Bucco. Sorry.
Yeah, when I have especially when I have just the mustache, like try and
Yeah,
look at me like that,
Artie Bucco.
Audie Bucco.
Yeah.
Um, where do you want to put him in C? Like, do you think that he's above or below Irina?
I mean, he's more important than Irina, but you can put him above. I'd say above.
All right, so he'll lead our C's for now.
Yeah.
Oh, Artie.
You go back and forth between feeling sorry for him and not. But he's compelling.
Let's do a couple. I'm gonna pick a couple quick ones for us to do
Okay.
to knock him out. So like let's start with
How
maybe what
we might break the Witcher record.
what
We might break the Witcher record here.
we're gonna try not to. So let's do Artie's wife. I mean, bro, there's not much to say about her.
Charmaine.
Charmaine. I don't know. I'm gonna throw a tear out there. I think Charmaine is like D. Like I think she's chilling with AJ.
Yeah, she sucks. I think the only thing that matters about her is that she used to date Tony, and then Tony goes through points where he like fantasizes about her tits or something. I don't remember the exact line, but yeah, she's very shallow. You see, honestly, the most of her is what you see with regards to her relationship with Artie and how she makes Artie's life harder. I think early on we see a lot of this. Yeah, throw her ass down there. Charmaine.
Switch scenes here.
Always talking down like Tony's business too. She hates the whole family in there. I
Oh,
hurt
that
the
Ginger
business.
is so annoying. She's like, get your
Yeah,
friends out of here.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Christopher's friend. I don't even know his name. He would hang
Brendan,
out with what?
Brendan Falone in the
Yeah,
first season.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked him.
He was fine.
He was fine. He was kind of cool. Unfortunate end. Junior wax. Actually, Olivia actually tells Junior to kill him. Gives the okay. Um, honestly, I feel like he deserved more episodes. I thought he was a good character, but
Gets him. Is it Mikey?
it is Mikey.
It's Mikey, right?
That's
And he's in
that.
the bathtub or some shit or
How's the boy?
how's
Which
the
one is that, Tone? The one you sleep with. He's like,
Oh, it's
it's
so
a
good.
shame that he's like,
He
they
trips
haven't
him
found a
again.
cure. Yeah, he's like, they haven't found a cure for fuckface-itis yet.
He's like, "What?
He
I'm
has some
kidding
good
with
one.
you."
All right, we can talk about him since we brought him up
Yeah,
too.
you're a good sport.
Yeah, yeah, come on, you're a good sport. Yeah, he's like, yeah. He fucking hates Tony in that moment.
So,
Oh, dude, he get the scene where Tony gets the stapler and fucking staples him on the
oh yeah,
floor,
yeah.
bro. Badass Tony scene,
Well,
I have to
first,
say.
where should I put Christopher's friend?
Brendan Stallone. He's probably somewhere D or C, laid side.
He's
I
so
don't
unimportant. Like I also D tier in my opinion. Like he's
think.
just
I think he's more enjoyable. His scenes are more enjoyable than AJ's. I know how much more important he is, but I don't care, bro. Put him ahead of AJ.
I bet ahead of AJ. Fuck AJ.
I think you can throw Mikey's ass probably maybe ahead of Janice somewhere there too. I very vividly I think how much you remember their scenes does you have to weigh that in a little bit. I remember
Percent.
his 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 death scene very well, where he goes out on the run
Yeah, he
and
jog. Paulie gets him.
Paulie's like the poison ivy it's itching my balls or something that he shoots him. That's a pretty good like just the fact that I remember that alone, I think he deserves C tier.
I
These are
think
some
I
good
would put him
scenes.
in C too, but I probably would not put him ahead of Janice. I'd put him behind Janice in
Okay.
C.
I just don't like Janice.
I know, I know, I know.
She
Um,
reminds me of someone I know too. That might have some. A lot of characters I'll say they remind me of people in my life, which goes to the relatability of Sopranos, especially Gloria. We'll get to that.
let's do um Rosalie April.
Rosalie, she's also kind of like a mob boss.
Let's do
It's kind of
Rosie and
sad.
Jack and Jackie.
hmm Okay.
We'll do both of them at the same
So
time.
Jackie's much more important than Rosie. Rosie's kind of sad.
Yeah, very
She
sad. Her
she always
life is
yeah,
sad.
she's a sad character. Her scenes are sad. You know, she goes through the worst possible thing. She loses her husband, she loses her son,
Ends up with
she gets
Ralph.
cheated on. Ralph cheats on her too, and like you feel sorry for her, but also at the same time, I do remember a scene where she's with Carm and she basically trashes on AJ and how he's like ungrateful. She says it outright, like he's a spoiled, ungrateful piece of shit or something, and Carm gets offended. She's like, don't take out like how your son ended up and like take it out on mine basically, which I think Karma's kind of right. She was kind of doing that to an extent, right? Like she's trying to drag Karm down with how miserable her life has become. So I actually think that hurts her more than anything. um she's probably a D tier. I don't think she's worthy of F, but
Definitely not F. No, she's not like Livia. I would put her in D. Like, I mean, I would put her behind AJ because AJ's got
More
some
important.
he's got some lines that are better on screen to watch too.
Yeah.
Like he's got his moments. I got to give him a little bit of slack. I
Yeah,
can't put
we're
fucking
talking
words
about
in it.
moments. Like it's, I can think of so many Olivia moments, yet we put her down there. Like, I mean, most of them are Tony interactions, like the babies out the windows. You remember that? He's like, always with the babies out the windows.
He's got so many of
Sorry.
the one-liners.
But yeah, I don't think that should be like a be all end all, is what I'm saying for like where they're ranked. It,
100%. I just hate Livy.
but it should fact. Fair enough. Yeah, me too. Me too. I said I hate her too.
I don't
Right?
think we're being biased there because if we were really being that biased, then AJ would be down in F as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
and then as for Jackie, you don't see much of him, but for the bit that you do see, I mean, he seems like he would have been a really enjoyable character to like for us to see those interactions play out. Like I always said, I wish he was around for like a couple episodes at least, um, to like really get a feel for
I
how
think.
the dynamic worked because you don't really get to understand much of it. Like you know he was the boss, but you don't really get to see him act as boss that much.
Oh, Jackie. I thought we were talking about Jackie Jr. Hold.
No, Jackie
Jackie,
the
the
boss.
bot. I agree. That's. I need to reset where I was thinking. I agree. Then I was about to jut in. I thought we were talking about Jackie Jr. Jackie, yeah. If you, I kind of thought he was interesting. I wish they kept him around a bit more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
if we could
he
have seen a
doesn't
little
really.
bit more of him.
Yeah, you don't. He doesn't really add that much in the grand scheme of things, right? Like just with the cancer, he's dying. It's sad. Like you do feel sorry for him, but probably D tier also. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I bet if there was like a prequel, if they did like a prequel show, he would be a much more compelling character.
I think we could give him the benefit of the bottom of C.
Okay.
I don't think he should be
Dang.
thrown in with Christopher's random friend and Artie's wife and AJ. It
He
feels
has a
like a
good scene.
disrespect to the
Yeah,
boss.
it is. It is. He has a good scene where Tony hires the hooker
Oh
as
yeah,
a
in the
nurse.
hospital.
Yeah, I just remember that. So he does have some funny scenes. Yeah, there's very few.
He had a good run for the time that he had, which was almost none.
Yeah,
So
like 3 episodes. He
was it
did what he
even
needed to
three?
do.
Like genuinely, was it even three?
I think he died in the fourth, but I don't know if he's in the first one. He died in the fourth one, I believe. Third or fourth. Yeah.